When scientists talk about ancient aliens, they're usually not referring to the enigmatic Georgios Tsoukalos, his wild theories, or what type of extraterrestrial ejaculate he allegedly uses as hair gel. They're talking about Mars. With the exception of planet Earth, Mars is the most studied, yet least understood of our solar system's 8 planets. Shrouded in mystery, this small, pale, red dot floating millions of miles away in the sky has captured humanity's collective imagination since time immemorial. But what if our two worlds are more closely linked than we realize? What if, dare I say, life on our pale blue dot got its start on our pale red dot of a neighbor? Or what if humans weren't the first Earthlings to ever colonize the red planet? Welcome back to episode 44 of the podcast that's been called the Jeb Bush of podcasts, because we're slow and steady. My name's Nate, and back with me again in 2026 is Ivan. Ivan, right off the bat, I'd like to just thank you again for coming to the studio and being here for us in these trying times.
You're welcome, and it's always fun to be here.
Do you have any New Year's resolutions you'd like to share with us?
Of course I do. Of course I do, man. Everyone has
like what?
Everyone has them. For the next year, I wish I'll, first of all, work more on my thesis, then
so that you can stop kicking your PhD down the road and finally get it.
That would be really good, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And satisfying. And then also I'd like to read more, just some books, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe you can finish a book this time.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
And then, also I'd like to go back to BJJ, you know, training more.
And what is that? Is that the karate stuff you do?
Jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, right?
That Bolivian
It's been a long time since I trained, so I'd like to go back to that this year. So that's the basics, man. What about you?
Oh, well, wow, man. I thought you'd never ask. So, as you know, we didn't get a single new Apple Podcast review in 2025, which was disappointing. So, this year, I'm hoping to inspire our listeners to go and leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts this year. And I am sure that somebody out there will do it.
Come on, guys.
Yeah. We have a lot of listeners. Should be one of you out there to leave us a review. But Ivan, I've got another question for you. Along the same lines there.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that our listeners can do if they want to help us on our journey through the deepest, darkest corners of the solar system in our heroic search for alien life?
All right. First and foremost, the easiest, the most helpful thing they can do is to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or whatever app you guys use.
Oh, and by the way, the next person, like I said, next person who leaves us a review there, we will give you a shout out. We will say your name like Destiny's Child.
Yeah, they can tell one person they know about our our show. Yeah. They can follow us on Instagram at Super Mystery Bros. If they want to reach out, they can email us at supermysterybrospodcast@gmail.com.
That all sounds pretty amazing, man. Every single one of our listeners is going to do at least one of those things. I am sure of it.
Yep.
All right, man. So what are we going to be talking about tonight?
Mars.
Mars, what's that?
It's a planet in the solar system.
What can you tell me about it?
I mean, it's red, it's big, and mysterious. I think it's way bigger than Earth, like a couple of times bigger than Earth. But
I think this is going to be one of those episodes, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be one of those, man. But you are last time we talked, you told me like you're big on astronomy, so I'm gonna like rely more on you, right?
In relation to Earth, where is it in our solar system?
Oh shit. It's probably 2 or 3 planets away from Earth, right? Come on. I'm not an astronomer, right? You are, so.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I took Astronomy 101 at San Diego Mesa College in the fall of 2006, and I got a B. So
that's cool.
I feel highly qualified to speak on all matters that involve Mars, including did it have life at one point or not? And if so, whatever happened to it, etc. So I think through the power of my B in Astronomy 101 and your PhD, we stand a solid chance of actually solving this one tonight.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so right before we begin, I'd like to just thank our sources for tonight's episode. So this episode has been brought to you by NASA.gov, NationalGeographic.com, the European Space Agency, ManyWorlds.space, as well as the world's most trusted source of information, Wikipedia. Do you have anything you want to say before we just kick this one off?
Not really. Let's just get after it, man.
All right, sounds good. Why don't you kick this one off by telling us a little bit of background on Mars?
Mars, the 4th planet from the Sun, but the first planet from our hearts, was named after a Roman god of war, Mars, and has been the subject of human fascination for millennia. It is now colloquially known to us modern humans as the Red Planet, but to ancient humans, it represented a fiery, ominous omen in the night sky, ominous omen, and became associated with...
Okay, I'm sorry. I totally fucked that line. Let's just roll with it, though. Okay. An ominous omen.
All right.
I can't believe I didn't... Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
It's fine. And became associated with everything from war, death, destruction, and bad fortune. Mars, for most of human history, was a Rorschach test. But few could have predicted how our perceptions would change as we became less dumb as a species. Mars, as it turns out, was not simply just a weird orange star that moved or something. Yeah. In fact, it was an entirely separate world, much like our Earth, just covered in iron-rich dust, all rusted over and shitty. Given that iconic reddish color, at roughly half the size of Earth, 1/9 of its mass, and with just 38% of our gravity, Mars' landscape is dotted with ancient riverbeds, crater lakes, canyons, and even the solar system's largest volcano, Olympus Mons, located just north of the Martian equator, standing tall at 72,000 feet above the surrounding plains, or 21.9 kilometers. It's roughly 2.5 times taller than Mount Everest from sea level. There may have been a shallow ocean in its northern hemisphere early in its history, but the jury is still out on that one. So why have humans been so obsessed with this cosmic ball instead of, say, Jupiter or Mercury? Well, I'm glad you asked, dear listener.
Italian astronomer Giovanni Schiaparelli became the first to map out the surface of the red planet during the favorable planetary alignment of 1877. While staring at a fuzzy image of the red planet through his old-timey telescope, he remarked on something that he called canali, which were these long shadowy lines he saw across the surface of Mars. As any native English speaker knows, all you have to do to translate Italian into English is to subtract the I from the end of whatever word it is, and then omit the silly hand gestures. When American astronomer Percival Lowell subtracted the I from the word canali, he was left shocked and horrified by what he saw. The word canal. To Lowell, this word heavily implied artificial construction, which raised a more important question than it answered. Could a technologically advanced race of hyper-intelligent extraterrestrial beings be living there, staring back at us, plotting and scheming our downfall?
Well, people in the 1930s thought so. On the night before Halloween in 1938, legendary filmmaker Orson Welles, right, performed a dramatic reading of A.G. Wells' War of the Worlds in the style of breaking news radio broadcast, which caused widespread panic among the unfortunate listeners who happened to tune in late. Some panicked residents of New Jersey believed that they had come under attack by aliens from Mars, and that they were listening to real breaking news coverage of the invasion. Many grabbed their guns and hid their families, bracing for their inevitable doom at the hands of the Martian ray gun, a heat ray, a death beam, or God forbid, even a Martian death ray. But then, about 40 minutes into pandemonium, intermission started, which revealed the whole thing to be just a prank, bro. And everyone all had a good laugh about it.
But the fascination with Mars possibly harboring alien civilization never fully died in the mainstream. That is, until 1965, when the NASA space probe Mariner 4 flew past the Red Planet, becoming the first human-launched probe to return close-up photos of the surface of Mars during a flyby, finally putting to rest the idea that sprawling alien metropolises dotted its surface. To humanity's simultaneous relief and disappointment, it was not a planet with a hyper-advanced civilization. It was just a dusty, rust-covered planet under constant bombardment from solar radiation, with no signs of life. Furthermore, its atmosphere was wispy, 100 times thinner than that of Earth's, consisting of 95% carbon dioxide and small amounts of nitrogen, argon, and oxygen. A huge bummer for those who wanted to find aliens there. However, this didn't stop humanity's fascination with the Red Planet, as further discoveries by future probes and rovers would indicate ancient habitability, including, but not limited to, evidence of ancient river valleys, crater lakes, and even possible biosignatures of ancient microbial life. Which begs the question, did Mars harbor life at any point in its multi-billion-year history? Stay tuned to find out.
Tonight, dear listener, we're taking you on a spaceship to Mars, a planet so sinister that nearly every ancient civilization named it after their most vengeful god, in search of evidence of microbial or even multicellular life. So pack your freeze-dried ice cream, your spacesuits, and even your adult diapers, and get ready to drink your own recycled urine for 8 months straight as we soar through the cold, empty void of space in a pressurized tin can. Onwards towards humanity's only hope for the future, Mars.
Wow, man, so how would you feel about that? Like if NASA came to you and said, Ivan, comrade.
Yeah,
well, I don't know why they would be speaking with a Soviet accent, but they said, Ivan, comrade, we have Mars mission launching next year, but we don't know anyone with a PhD. Will you man the Mars mission? Man our Mars mission and go. You would spend 8 months in space on your way, drinking your own recycled urine, but you would get to step foot on another planet. Would you do it?
Will I ever be back?
Yes. But you're gonna be back in like 2 or 3 years. And it's 8 months there and then 8 months back.
I think I would do it, man.
Would you?
If I will be back, like with the high chance, you know, like
let's say there's like it's like a 95% chance of mission success, but there's like 5% that you could
die.
Get fucked. Yeah,
It's not too bad, man.
Do it? You'd be like, yes, I would do it.
But NASA, if you're listening to it, don't take it as a yes. You know.
They say, Ivan, comrade, America needs you. Would you say yes? Would you answer the call?
I mean, if it's like, it's probably the world needs me, right? Not just America. To put it even on,
if that makes you feel better, yes.
Yeah, to put it even on more like narcissistic level, you know, of greatness, you know. So
95% chance. Let's say they launched that same rocket. They did 100 tests of that rocket. 5 were failures. 95 were successes.
I'd say I would seriously consider it.
No, we need an answer right now, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Probably.
You'd say yes. Okay. I'll
What
take
about
that-
you?
Fuck no.
Why not?
I don't like those odds, man. 5%. If it was like 1 or 2%, I think I might say yes. And also 8 months in space inside of a pressurized tin can. I think I'd probably want to blow my brains out after a certain point. I don't think I could last that long inside of a tiny capsule in space. It would be cool. I would love to go to Mars if I could just teleport there. But if I have to spend 8 months, 9 months in a pressurized tin can drinking my own recycled urine.
But doesn't it sound like opportunity of a lifetime to you?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But
Maybe it's the only chance, man, to visit the red planet.
I'll have to think about it, and maybe we can talk about this at the end, okay?
Okay.
All right. So let's just give a brief overview of the planetary history of Mars. Most of the following information comes from the European Space Agency's website. Early in its history, Mars was a very different planet than the cold, dead desert we see today. Around 4.5 billion years ago, Mars formed with a thick atmosphere created by impacts and volcanic outgassing. As that atmosphere cooled, water vapor condensed and may have formed large bodies of liquid water, possibly even a global ocean. This early period opened the first plausible window for life on Mars, around 4.4 to 4.3 billion years ago, at roughly the same time life may have been getting started on Earth. Coincidence?
We don't think so.
Although we say that Mars could have been habitable during this time, scientists don't mean that it ever looked anything like Earth. If life existed on Mars, it would have had to evolve under far harsher conditions. Because of its distance from the sun, Mars was likely cold for most of its history, with average surface temperatures below freezing, punctuated by periods when certain regions may have warmed up enough for liquid water to briefly exist. The idea that Mars was ever a warm, lush, green tropical paradise is not widely accepted and is generally dismissed by the scientific community. But as they say in Jurassic Park, life always finds a way. And importantly, cold temperatures alone do not rule out the possibility that life could have survived or even thrived in parts of ancient Mars.
Yeah, man, talking about below freezing. I have a friend who lived in, I think, the city called Norilsk. And it's the temperature in winter there goes down to minus 60 or even lower than that sometimes. And people still...
You're talking Celsius, right?
Yeah. So it's pretty goddamn cold, man.
That's a ball froster.
Yeah, I heard from him, if you stay outside for too long, you basically get like frostbites or something. Like
Right.
your face cracks or something. I don't know.
Do you think he could survive on Mars? If he could breathe the air.
We'll have to ask him, but
All right, man. Why don't you...
Probably, man. Probably. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it just hovers right around zero at the
around zero.
Well, no. But certain parts of Mars in its history were like hovering around zero. Nowadays, it's far colder. But
yeah, but back then,
in its heyday, we'll get into it. But in its heyday, it was a little bit warmer and more hospitable to life.
Yeah, I'd say if it's around zero, that would be like a walk in the park for many from Russia. You know.
Yeah, but we're talking like places near the equator in like the summer would be hovering around zero, I believe. I could be. I think I'm going to delete that part because I have no idea, honestly. Okay. And we're back. So after fact checking the temperature on the surface of Mars, the surface of Mars surprisingly can actually reach up to 20 degrees Celsius or 70 degrees Fahrenheit near the equator during summer. That's like the warmest, which is insane to me. So I just want to put that little disclaimer out there. That
almost like Thailand, man. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Maybe Thailand at the top of that mountain.
Yeah.
All right, man. So why don't you continue on with the information here?
The most promising era for Martian life came during the Noachian period, between about 4.1 and 3.7 billion years ago. During this time, Mars had a thicker atmosphere, warmer surface temperatures, rainfall, rivers, crater lakes, and possibly a shallow ocean in its northern hemisphere. Rovers have found clay minerals formed by prolonged exposure to non-acidic groundwater. The kind of chemistry considered especially friendly to Microbial life. An article on nasa.gov states, quote, early in Mars history, the climate at least periodically supported liquid water on planet's surface. The evidence for this comes from the presence of pluvial features on ancient terrains such as valley networks and open lake systems, which likely indicate precipitation and runoff. Other compelling reasons to believe early Mars was warm and wet come from the detection of phyllosilicates, clays, in localized outcrops on these same ancient surfaces. Phyllosilicates are the end product of basaltic weathering, and their presence suggests water flowed for extended period of time. It is still unclear whether the majority of these clays likely formed on Mars' surface, or whether they could be formed in the subsurface. End quote.
Wow, man. So that's a lot of scientific mumbo jumbo. As a person with a PhD, could you kind of break that down for us and explain that in a way that maybe the normal person could understand?
Well, man, like I said, you are an astronomy expert among us, you know? You've got B in the college, right?
Oh, yeah, I got a B in a community
So
college
I'm going to just like, you know, throw that ball back to you, you know? So.
Well, I wouldn't be asking you if I knew. You're the one with the higher education than me.
Different field though, man. You're an astronomer.
As a side note, man, you need to stop farting, man.
I never did.
It's fucking horrible.
I never did, man. I haven't farted once. Let me check, but don't put it there. No, I haven't.
Well, you know the saying, man.
The one who says it, who calls the fart, he actually did it. That's the saying back home, you know, man.
He who denied it supplied it.
Yeah, that's another one. But I double checked, so not my pants, man.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, the physicist who is widely known as the Steven Seagal of science, once said, quote, Mars once was wet and fertile. It's now bone dry. Something bad happened on Mars. I want to know what happened on Mars so that we may prevent it from happening here on Earth. End quote. Wow.
But
what did you want to say?
Yeah, I want to say that Steven Seagal is actually pretty cool, man. I liked his movies. Yeah, they were like
that makes one of us, I guess.
Did you watch his movies when you were a kid? Like, you know, he like fighting dudes on the ships and in the fields everywhere, man. Okay, let's continue.
Unbeknownst to Dr. Tyson, though, we actually do know what happened to Mars.
Toward the end of this period, Mars began to lose its protective magnetic field, allowing its atmosphere to be slowly stripped away by solar winds. Habitable environments didn't vanish overnight, but they became smaller, colder, and more isolated. By the Hesperian period, which was about 2.9 billion years ago, Mars was entering a slow planetary death spiral. Volcanic gases turned surface waters acidic. Stable rivers largely disappeared, and liquid water became increasingly rare and short-lived, appearing mostly during catastrophic flood events rather than as long-term lakes or seas. By about 2.9 billion years ago, during the Amazonian period, Mars had become the dry, cold world we recognize today, with an atmosphere so thin that liquid water can't remain stable on the surface for long. If life ever existed on Mars, the most likely time for it to emerge was early, and its window may have closed billions of years ago.
Wow, that's really interesting, man. So here's some food for thought. According to the world's most trusted source of information, Wikipedia, the earliest time for the origin of life on Earth is at least 3.5 billion years ago, and possibly as early as 4.1 billion years ago, not long after the oceans formed 4.5 billion years ago, and after the formation of the Earth 4.54 billion years ago.
In other words, Mars became habitable at roughly the same time the Earth did, and in fact may have been habitable slightly earlier in the history than Earth was. Oh, that's interesting, right?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. So, knowing this information, does that change anything for you?
You mean
Does
about...
that change the game for you?
It's definitely a cool insight, but
There's
whether...
some overlap. But
there is overlap, but as we know, correlation don't mean causation.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
I'm not implying that that's like the smoking gun here. I'm just saying there's a plausible window where there could have been some sort of exchange of microbial life. And that's what we're about to get into here. So, dear listener, have you ever heard the term panspermia? Well, if you haven't, imagine this. John Elway in his prime, staring out across a football field at the 40-yard line during Monday Night Football. The Broncos are down by 5, and there's only 3 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Helmets collide as the ball is snapped, except this time, it's not a ball. It's a large football-shaped log of shit. He frantically searches for an open receiver and spots Rod Smith sprinting toward the end zone. He's wide open. Without hesitation, he heaves it as hard as he can, a perfect spiral. The crowd goes wild as it soars through the air like a missile, passing mere inches above the fingertips of Rod Smith. Instead of a game-winning touchdown, the shit log rockets past the end zone and slams directly into a large, industrial-sized fan spinning behind it. Now imagine that same moment, except in the weightless void of space, at tens of thousands of miles per hour and with astronomically large logs of shit. Asteroids, comets, and impacts of other large celestial bodies into planets are the cosmic version of shit hitting the fan. But what happens when microbial life forms living on said planet get caught in the crossfire? This is where the idea of panspermia comes in. Now, Ivan, can you just explain to us what this term means?
Of course, man. Of course, I will. NASA's astrobiology program takes seriously enough the idea of panspermia, the hypothesis that the life or its precursors could be shared between planets via meteorites, comets, or other ejecta. That scientists actually talk about it in the same breath with origins of life. In the mainstream research, they point out that the earliest solid evidence of life on Earth comes from fossilized microbial structures about 3.5 billion years old. And there are chemical signatures in rocks about 3.8 billion years old that many researchers think are consistent with biological activity. In other words, life on Earth began shockingly early in its history, almost as if it was given a head start. That rapid appearance of life almost as soon as Earth's surface became habitable after it cooled following the giant impact that created our moon raises intriguing questions about whether life could have started somewhere else and arrived here, or whether Earth might have seeded other worlds instead. Some scientists raise the possibility that early Mars, which may have been habitable even earlier than Earth, could have played a role in this kind of interplanetary exchange via rocks blasted into space and later landing on Earth. The panspermia idea doesn't solve the mystery of how life began, but it does make scientists think differently about where life could have arisen and whether life might have spread within our own solar system.
Wow, man. So, again, that was a lot of big words. Can you help break down this concept for us?
So, in simple words, what they're saying is that there is a possibility of life traversing the space via meteorites, comets, right? From one planet to another.
Yes.
And then just...
So the idea is that comets, asteroids, meteorites, that sort of thing, hit the surface of a planet at a high enough speed to where it ejects rocks into space. Mm-hmm. And those rocks are going to have life that was on that planet on those rocks. Those rocks are going to float through space and they're going to land somewhere. And the idea of panspermia is that those rocks with the life on it are going to land on another planet and then seed that planet with life. So that's the basic idea of panspermia. Mm-hmm. So I know what you're thinking. We know that celestial impacts can cause microbes to be ejected into outer space and possibly seed other worlds, and that Mars had conditions which could have supported life in the distant past. And if it had life during that time, that past life could have been what seeded Earth billions of years ago. But there's no strong evidence of life ever existing there in the first place, so let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? Well, if this is what you're thinking, get out from under that rock you've been living under, blockhead. According to NASA, Mars might not be as dead as we once thought. In 2018, data from the Curiosity rover revealed two findings that immediately made astrobiologists say, wow, man. The discovery of ancient organic molecules locked inside 3 billion-year-old sedimentary rocks and the detection of mysterious methane spikes in the Martian atmosphere that rise and fall with the seasons. The organic molecules were found in mudstone drilled from Gale Crater, a location that was once home to lakes and flowing water. When Curiosity heated these rock samples, it detected carbon-based compounds like thiophenes, aromatic hydrocarbons, and small carbon chains, the same broad category of chemistry that, on Earth, is often associated with biology. Now, to be clear, organic molecules do not automatically mean life. They can be produced through non-biological processes like volcanism or chemical reactions involving water and rock. But what makes this discovery compelling is that these compounds survived billions of years of radiation and oxidation, suggesting that Mars once had conditions capable of preserving the raw ingredients that life needs.
At the same time, the Curiosity rover also detected methane in the Martian atmosphere. Not just trace amounts, but a repeating seasonal pattern where methane levels spike during warmer months and drop again during colder ones. Methane should, in theory, disperse evenly on Mars, but what it found were localized spikes, suggesting a source that turns on and off. On Earth, about 90% of methane in the atmosphere comes from the biological sources, mainly microbes. But on Mars, scientists don't yet know the source. It could be geological, produced by chemical reactions deep underground, or it could be biological, possibly from microbes living below the surface, where they'd be shielded from deadly solar radiation. But what makes this discovery so exciting is that methane breaks down relatively quickly in the Martian atmosphere, which means something has to be actively producing it. In other words, Mars isn't just sitting there passively decaying, it's doing something. None of this proves life exists on Mars today, but it does show that Mars still has active chemistry, preserved organics, and unexplained atmospheric behavior.
Wow, man. So I think the biggest takeaway here is that on Earth, about 90% of our methane is produced by biological activity. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not to say that the methane that's coming out of Mars seasonally is caused by biological activity, but I think it's really interesting that it's seasonal in nature, much like biological activity is here on Earth.
All right. That's fascinating, man.
Yeah. So if you thought fluctuating methane levels were exciting, hold on to your butts for the next section. In July of 2024, just a year and a half ago now, the NASA Perseverance rover, while it was out just cruising around inside the Jezero crater, a crater widely known among the scientific community as being a dirty old crater, stumbled upon a dirty old rock and decided to drill into it. What it found left scientists flabbergasted. The strongest signs of life, or how NASA words it, biosignatures, to date. The arrowhead-shaped mudstone, nicknamed Chayava Falls and sampled in 2024, contains what some scientists believe is the smoking gun humanity needs to finally prove once and for all that Mars was once home to an alien race of microbial beings. Found in an ancient riverbed within the Jezero crater, Perseverance used its Watson camera, which is short for Wide-Angle Topographic Sensor for Operations and Engineering, which is part of the Sherlock, short for... God damn it, NASA. Do you have to come up with these stupid acronyms? It's like they're forcing it to work. Sherlock and Watson? Come on. Anyway, it's an instrument suite located on the end of Perseverance's 7-foot-long robotic arm, and it discovered patterns scientists call leopard spots and poppy seeds, mineral textures, and chemistry that could have formed through interactions between organic matter and sediment. Of particular interest are the so-called leopard spots, which pepper the rock, which are dark greenish blue rings about 1 millimeter in diameter. All right, man. So we've got a picture of this up in front of us right now. What are your first impressions of the picture of the so-called poppy seeds and leopard spots?
Well, man, if we use our favorite method on the podcast here, method of free associations, man.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to my mind is like, it looks just a little bit reminiscent of mold that you'd see in
it looks like mold on bread or something.
Yeah, or on the
wall or something.
On the wall or something, like small spots kind of thing.
Yeah. Or it looks like maybe something you would see on the side of a rock near the ocean or something. Which is actually, now that I think about it, that's actually a really interesting comparison because this rock was near an ancient ocean. So, anyway, why don't you continue on, man?
Quote, on Earth, reactions like these are commonly associated with microbially driven organic matter respiration. End quote. Joel Horowitz, the deputy principal investigator of the PIXL instrument located at the end of Perseverance's robotic arm, said at the conference. According to researchers, these features are similar to patterns created by microbial activity on Earth, although non-biological explanations have not yet been ruled out. NASA scientists stressed that while this is not proof of past life, it is the strongest clue so far and warrants further investigation, including detailed laboratory analysis, if the samples can ever be returned to Earth. Although samples have been slated for an Earthbound return mission by the early 2030s, according to PBS, costs swelled to $11 billion, which kicked the date out to the 2040s. In the meantime, samples of that rock, containing the possible holy grail of extraterrestrial life, were dumped into a shiny metal tube and tossed out of the rover, where it now lays casually, discarded on the Martian surface, waiting for the day when NASA gets the funding to finally come pick it up and bring it back to Earth.
Wow, man. So let's just do a quick recap here before we end this. So Mars was habitable slightly earlier than Earth was. It became practically inhospitable fairly quickly as its atmosphere was stripped away by the solar winds. There was significant enough overlap in time where both planets were habitable, so panspermia is theoretically possible. Life on Earth coincidentally sprouted up almost as soon as it was habitable, which is kind of sus if you think about it. Like, basically, as soon as Earth became habitable, life appeared on it relatively quickly. Mars, we've got seasonal methane spikes, which could be a sign of microbial activity underground. We don't know. And then we've got evidence in the Chiava Falls rock of potential ancient alien biosignatures. Did I forget anything, man?
No, I think it's all here.
All right, man. So let's just conclude our story here. Despite the best efforts of science, the origins of life on Earth remain shrouded in mystery. Was it born by random chance in a cauldron of primordial soup? Or did life from elsewhere colonize Earth? We may never know for certain. The prologue to our own book remains missing, and if it's missing, maybe it wasn't written here on Earth at all. Do Earth and Mars share a common past? Did life on one world hitch a ride inside a blasted-off rock and quietly seed the other? Or has Mars always been a cold, dead place that never once crossed that line from chemistry into biology? Maybe the answer isn't in the wild theories of some random dipshit on the History Channel. Maybe it's sitting right now on the Martian surface, sealed inside a titanium tube the Perseverance rover casually tossed aside. A container that could tell us whether life ever existed beyond Earth. And it's just lying there, waiting, unseen and uncared for by most of humanity. A species that can't be bothered to just reach down and pick it up, like some Jack-in-the-Box wrapper on a Fresno sidewalk. Alright, man, are you ready to try and solve this sumbitch once and for all?
Sure. This time, man, I'd like you to say your theory first because you're an expert on this topic.
Yeah, but you have a PhD.
Not in astronomy, though.
All right, so if this were a gun to my head situation, right? Gun to my head situation. Let's just lay the ground questions first, all right? So the question that we have to answer tonight, did Earth seed Mars? Did Mars seed Earth? Or did life on Earth evolve independently from Mars?
Mm-hmm.
Did Mars evolve life independently by itself, or did Mars never have life at all? So that's the question that we're going to try to answer tonight. Now, gun to my head, I got to choose the right answer or the gun's going off, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got to say, man, it's looking pretty promising that maybe we're from Mars, man.
So that the life originated on Mars, not on Earth. And then we were like, via panspermia, seeded.
So I think there is one little tidbit here that I might have forgot to include in the outline here. But during the Great Bombardment, which was like this time in the solar system's history where asteroids were just impacting Earth and Mars like crazy, this kind of overlaps with that window of opportunity that we talked about earlier, where during that time where panspermia would have been theoretically possible, asteroids were hitting Earth and Mars quite often. Mostly Mars, because Mars is closer to the asteroid belt than Earth is. So it makes the most sense to me because Mars got a slight head start in its history of being habitable, and also it's closer to the asteroid belt, and more asteroids were hitting Mars than Earth because of the proximity. Now, just like playing the odds, it just seems like the odds would favor Mars slightly more.
Yeah.
Because of that.
I see.
And also the sus thing to me also is how quickly life arose on Earth. It seems like no one really knows how you go from just chemistry into biology, where that leap happens. But it just seems like Earth got a head start right when Earth started to be habitable. That's when life happened. And it just seems like maybe it was seeded. Maybe it didn't happen through chemistry. It just fell from the sky, and that's how it happened. So come at me, bro. What do you think?
Yeah, I see. I think that's a cool addition to our story about the what was it, man?
The Great Bombardment.
The Great Bombardment, right? So it actually increases the chance of the seeding, or how do we say it, right?
Panspermia.
Panspermia, right?
So if Mars had microbes at the time, theoretically, one of these asteroids, or maybe multiple, or a comet, or any number of types of celestial bodies could have impacted Mars' surface, sent a bunch of shards of Mars's surface into space. Some of those could have contained life, especially life that's on, like, burrowing life, like stuff that's underground, living inside of these stones that get ejected into space. I think that's probably the highest chance of panspermia. Okay.
So again, man, of course, don't quote me on that because I didn't take astronomy in college, and I'm just random dude now talking about it. So, but we're talking about probabilities here, and I would still lean into the earthly origin on life, and the reason for that would be that I think, and again, I'm not an expert, but just judging from the distance from the sun, even though I got it wrong than you asked me, right? But Earth is a little bit closer to the sun, right, than Mars. Quite a bit, probably. And that would probably make the Earth atmosphere is more habitable than Martian, even at that time.
Right. But one thing you got to...
Do you think I am correct in that, or...
No, you are. But one thing you got to consider also is that life on Earth is pretty diverse, right?
Yeah.
We see life in the North Pole, in both of the poles.
Yeah,
right?
we do.
Life can survive anywhere on Earth, pretty much. It just depends on how it evolves. So just because Earth is a little bit warmer than Mars doesn't mean that life can't evolve on Mars to be... Oh, I should add another thing. I think that that would make Earth's life a little bit more fragile compared to a theoretical microbe from Mars. If a microbe from Mars evolves in the Martian environment, it's probably going to be hardier than the pussy-ass microbes from Earth because it grew up in this really harsh, cold environment. It could also explain why it could survive on a space rock floating into space.
Yeah, that would make it more sturdy for sure. But at the same time, again, in my, how do you call it, random Joe or whatever opinion about that, you know, I would say probably there is higher chance for life to emerge on Earth. It's just because that most, if not all of the living organisms, they require good conditions, including the good temperature, right? So in my mind, that would make it probability higher than Martian. And it doesn't have to be like, when you ask the question whether or not Mars was seeded by Earth or Earth was seeded by Mars, maybe they could have developed independently too, right?
Oh, that's
an option too.
Definitely an option. But one thing you got to consider too, have you ever heard of these little creatures called tardigrades?
Tell me about them.
They're these little, God, they look like little mole rats, but like microscopic mole rats.
Man, I just hope they're not from Star Wars or something.
No.
And then you're just like, got you, Ivan. You.
No. Nothing like that.
Okay.
But anyway, astronauts have taken them up into space because they want to test like what if anything can survive in the vacuum of space, and these things can. They're these little tiny, I think they're microscopic little creatures. And they're very hardy, and they can actually survive in space for extended periods of time. Now, that's a multicellular organism, and we're talking about single-celled organisms now, because life existed on Earth as single-celled organisms for billions of years before it made that transition into multicellular stuff. So, if a multicellular organism can survive in space, imagine what a single-celled organism could do in space. And we're not talking about just floating by itself in space, just taking on all that solar radiation. We're talking about stuff that lives inside of the rocks and the soil that gets ejected into space. So it's, theoretically speaking, this stuff is shielded from all the sun's harmful rays and cosmic radiation and that sort of thing. And it just floats out there in suspended animation until it gets sucked into the gravitational pull of another planet.
I definitely get where you're coming from, and it's it makes sense. It's just, for me, it's the
probabilities.
The probabilities, right? Whether, because life on Mars had potentially a little bit more time, right? Because it as we said in the episode,
possibly a couple 100 million years
more, right?
Head start,
more time to potentially start. But again, the conditions differ a lot, and Earth is even at that time probably again was more habitable, right? So,
sorry, can you repeat that?
I mean that the Earth was more habitable than Mars.
During what period though?
At the
I don't think the question though is which is more habitable than the other.
I know.
Can life exist in these two separate environments? And the answer is yes. So you can't just assume that because we're looking at life through the lens of the life on Earth, right? And what conditions life on Earth can thrive in. We have no idea what a potentially alien organism is going to be able to tolerate or not tolerate. And a potential alien organism might not be able to live in Earth's kind of environment. Maybe this is kind of like hell for an alien organism. Yeah,
it's good that you put us, you brought us back to the life existing in the separate planets, right? So it's I'd say it's maybe it's possible, especially considering like the recent evidence, the leopard spots.
How would you explain that then, smart guy? Mr. PhD.
Yeah, it's $1 billion question. I don't know. It's a tough one. No one ever managed to do that, man. And you're just like putting me on the spot. Is it like gun to my head question?
Everything I'm asking you is a gun to your head question, right?
Yeah, it's here on the table.
I use the gun to your head analogy because I want you to choose the one that you think is probably the right answer. Because your life is on the line, so you have to choose. You can't hide behind this fence sitter bullshit.
Yeah, the thing that they found, like leopard parts and everything on Mars, it makes it more complicated. I'm not really sure about the whole panspermia thing, man.
If you're not sure about panspermia, we can.
So I think maybe they just existed separately.
So
like
your
life on
position, okay, so you do think that life was once on Mars, but it
maybe
was independent of Earth.
Maybe, especially because of the...
Not maybe, man. Gun to your head.
Gun to my head.
If you choose the wrong answer, it goes off.
You guys don't see the video, but actually there is a gun here, you know?
Yeah.
So, single cellular, simple stuff. I'd say a really big maybe considering the recent discoveries.
Maybe, man. Come on.
Come on, man. By the leopard sports, even the biggest head in NASA don't know yet.
No. We're not talking about animals. We're not talking about multicellular life.
I know.
We're the bar for life is so low. What we're talking about is the bar is set so low. Did any form of life ever exist on Mars at any point?
Okay, let me lean onto my more open side of my character, you know? I won't be so rigid and shit, you know? So I'll say, fuck yeah, man.
If you say... Okay.
Okay. And let's see in 10 years, you know, after they get those samples back.
If you were gonna say maybe, so help me God, man.
I'll say yes, man. And let's see in 10 years, we'll do another episode, okay? In 10 years when they get those probes back.
Could be 20. If it's really 2040s.
Yeah, because, you know, depends on the budget and everything. So.
Yeah.
What about you, man?
Well, I already kind of gave you my opinion. Like gun to my head.
Yeah.
Right? I think it started on Mars. And just playing the odds here, everything kind of lines up that way. One, you've got the Mars being habitable in a slightly sooner than Earth was. So got slightly a head start. So it's a little bit in Mars's favor there. Closer to the asteroid belt, so it got pelted by asteroids more often in its history. Also, because it's colder, I think that any kind of life that would evolve there would be more likely to survive the journey through space, and to like seed Earth. Do you get what?
Yeah, I know.
And the fact that life sprouted up on Earth so soon after it became habitable. It's kind of sus to me. It's almost like it was given a head start. Just in my opinion.
Yeah. I see. So your point, it started on Mars and then went to Earth via panspermia.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, man, I'm not a panspermia expert here. You are, right? So do you think, can life possibly traverse multiple solar systems or something on those?
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't. But in your opinion, gun to your head, man.
So I'd be really shooting from the hip here. I'm gonna say yes, just because I'm shooting from the hip here. If it's I gotta flip a coin, I'm gonna say yes. Maybe that's where life came from on both planets. Maybe it comes from some other,
but that
somewhere else.
At the same time, it raises the question again from our earthly and my poor knowledge of biology. Speaking. If life originated somewhere else, why not on Earth? Right? Again.
Oh no, it's definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it definitely couldn't have happened on Earth. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that like everything just seems a little too coincidental. So I lean more towards maybe Earth got a head start somehow. So that's just what I was thinking.
All right.
So, what would it mean to you if we ever did find conclusive proof of life on Mars? Would you view your life in any different way, or would you just read the news and be like, huh, and then you just go downstairs and get breakfast and your life would go on as normal?
Oh, well, I will definitely get breakfast, man.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But in light of, our recent podcast, I'll definitely think more about it than I would have otherwise, because of the panspermian things. Maybe I would think like, oh, maybe Nate was right, Maybe life did originate on Mars or something. It would stir me a little bit more in that direction, If they actually proved it, I would, consider this hypothesis more viable. Something like that.
Yeah, I think I get what you mean. So I think someone who's critical of space exploration, they might ask why we're dumping billions of dollars into looking for microbes on space rocks millions of miles away from Earth when we've got bigger problems here. Like, would you agree with that or would you disagree?
That's an awesome question, man. And I would probably... I think I would disagree with that. I would strongly disagree because we need to watch out for those. At least we need to watch out for those freaking asteroids, man, so they don't freaking just one
That's
day...
a good point. That's a good
hit
point.
us and kill us all,
Yeah.
That's, probability-wise, maybe it's not that high, but if that happens and half of the humanity is dead, it's pretty bad, right? So that's something to watch out for. Even though the things are on Earth are maybe more dangerous, but we gotta...
Are they though? We don't know.
Like nuclear
And
weapons. Yeah, you're right. So because of that we don't know, we should watch out for the other stuff too. We should care about everything, if you ask me,
Yeah.
Earth is important, but freaking gotta look up above and check out those asteroids and shit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not an easy problem to... Or it's not an easy question to answer.
Oh, definitely no. And can I say a little bit more about that too? Because if again, it's a balancing act. If we definitely should focus on people too, because it's the people who study the skies. So it's like it's a balancing act, right? So
it's like everything else that's publicly funded. It's like when you give money to something, you're taking it away from something else. There's an opportunity cost with everything when it comes to public funding. So it's like, yeah, if there's hungry people, why are we spending billions? But it's like, it's kind of like asking, why is a poor person buying the expensive toilet paper? It's like, well, toilet paper is not that expensive anyway. Not to say that funding NASA is cheap, but as it's a small portion of our total budget is what I should say. That's what I mean. And it's a small price to pay to know answers that everybody needs to know. Is dying to know.
I'd say I'm not gonna, but I'm gonna say with 100%, almost 100. I'm almost 100% sure that there are some other aspects of budgets of every country that they can cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, right on, man. So. Is there anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, it was a cool episode, man, and I learned a lot of new stuff here.
One last question. So we're in our 30s.
Yeah.
Realistically, we've only got like maybe 50 years left on this bitch, right? We're almost halfway through this bitch. Do you think that we're ever going to find proof of alien life or proof of life on Mars in our lifetime?
I'd say in 20 or 30 years. I'm just throwing it out there, man, and then we'll check, What about you?
So that is within our lifetime. I mean, assuming that we don't walk downstairs and get hit by a bus or something.
I hope not, but it's always a possibility,
All right.
And man, you haven't answered the question about Mars expedition. I'm not gonna just, leave that.
It's kind of like what I said earlier, though. If I could just teleport there, I would love to go to Mars. I just don't think I would be able to handle 8 months in a space capsule. Two ways. That's 16 months total, just floating through space in a tiny space capsule. Fuck, I don't think I could do it. I would love to go, and I would like to say that I'm cool enough to do that, but knowing myself, I don't think I would be able to stand it.
You can Skype your friends, I guess.
R.I.P. I mean, Skype. What Skype? Skype's dead now, man.
Teams, right? What not?
Well, you know, from Mars, there's a delay on Mars. Traveling at the speed of light from Earth to Mars, I think it's like 6 minutes or 8 minutes or something.
You can send like audio messages.
So it would be like worse than internet from the mid 90s.
I didn't have internet in mid 90s, man.
Well,
yeah, I know.
For the rest of us,
I know. So yeah, actually, now if I think about it, I think 16 months in the tin can would probably drive me crazy. If you add some other
and
people,
you wouldn't be alone. You'd be
just one.
No, you'd be with other people.
Oh yeah, maybe.
You'd probably be with like, I don't know, let's say 3 other people.
Real astronaut and like biologists and shit, right?
Yeah.
Who actually know about Mars.
You'd have the pilot of the space capsule. There'd probably be like a geologist. There would be maybe like a doctor, and then PhD, you.
Random economist. Well, I'm gonna like study the supply and demand of rocks on Mars or
Jesus.
And I'm not even PhD yet.
Economist.
So, yeah, that I don't know, man. With other people, it could be a little bit more bearable, right? In the capsule.
Kind of depends, man.
It depends on
knowing
people,
you. You're an introvert. I don't think you'd be able to.
I'll be just looking at the wall, like.
Probably like, get me away from these fucking people. You'd be excited at first, but then you just, after a couple of days, you'd be like, fucking, I'm gonna murder these people. I'm gonna just open this space capsule door and just let everything get sucked out.
Maybe not that intense, man, but you know.
Yeah. Anyway, not to end on a dark note or anything. Ivan, do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap up this episode?
I think it was a good one. I learned a lot of new things about Mars.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, man. Do you have any apologies, shout-outs, or clarifications to make before we go?
Well, man, let's start with the apology.
Okay.
And it's apology and shout-out combined.
Wow, okay. That's a first for this show.
Yeah. So I'd like to apologize to my physics teacher.
Does he listen to our show?
Well, let me.
He probably will after this.
Let me get to it. So basically, it was a woman. She was like one of the best teachers at our school, and she taught us some astronomy. Mm-hmm. But as you can observe, I didn't learn.
You sleep in through her class?
I didn't sleep in, but you know,
in one ear, out the other.
I just something like that, something along those lines. Yeah. Unfortunately, she passed.
Oh, so she's not gonna.
Listen. Yeah, during the COVID, but.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
But I still gonna give the shout out to her because she was awesome. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna give you one last chance to apologize.
One more chance to apologize.
Yeah. For farting earlier.
I didn't, man. I didn't. Maybe it was...
He who denied it, supplied it.
No, but we say he who called it did it, man.
Yeah, he who did not... Oh, that's he who smelt it, dealt it.
Yeah, something like that.
He who did the rhyme, did the crime. Anyway, we're only going to get denials from Ivan, so... First, I'd like to just thank our producer, Darnell Brown Jr. IV, for his hard work and dedication to the show, because without him, we would just be lost, and I don't know where we would be without him. So thank you, Darnell. We would just be absolutely lost without you. Secondly, I've got a couple of apologies to make. First, I've got to apologize to the enigmatic Giorgio Tsoukalos for implying that he's a dipshit, and that he may or may not be using alien jizz for hair gel. Secondly, I guess I've got to apologize to Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson for saying that he's widely known as being the Steven Seagal of science, but I don't retract my statement, but I am sorry.
But Steven Seagal he's pretty cool, man, so.
Allegedly. Alright, man, do you want to go have some Indian food after this?
Sounds like a plan, man.
Alright, man, let's get out of here. Like sands through the hourglass, so too are the minutes of our podcast. But don't fret, dear listener. We'll be back again to breathe new life into an old mystery next time.
Помните, ребята, истина прячется в тени. Вместе мы найдем ее.
This is Super Mystery Bros.
A planet so sinister that nearly every ancient civilization named it after their most vengeful god, in search of evidence of microbial or even multicellular